menstrual cups and discs are sweeping the market. Yet there is a lack of quick, usable information of things to consider when you're choosing this product for yourself. This video aims to solve just that. Hi, my name is Dr. Laura Meihofer. I'm a physical therapist that focuses on all things pelvic floor. I help individuals with pelvic floor dysfunction gain optimal health through knowledge and movement. I have personally used menstrual cups and discs for years. I love them because they're better for the environment, they save me a ton of money, and they allow me to more easily do some of my unique hobbies, such as backpacking. I don't have to pack in a bunch of menstrual products that I'm worried might get wet and not be usable, and I certainly don't have to pack anything out. Now, when you're thinking about going into menstrual cups or discs, you first have to decide what shape do you like. Are you wanting a disc, which tends to be wider but more shallow? Or do you prefer a cup, which is tulip shaped? The first thing you want to think about is the material that the cup is made out of. They can range from rubber, silicone, to a combination of both of those materials. All menstrual cups are reusable, so that doesn't really need to be something that's on your radar. The next thing you want to consider is height of the product, and honestly, there's two heights you need to think about. The height here, but also the total height. Now, this can range for every single cup brand, but the reason why it's important is we're trying to figure out what's going to fit internally in that vaginal or genital canal and not feel like it's falling out. So if you've had a child, or if you deal with a little bit of prolapse, or if you've never had a kiddo, that is going to change the distance from the outside of your vaginal or genital opening to your cervix. And based on that distance, we'll determine what type of cup height is going to be comfortable to you. Cup heights can range from 1.38 inches to 3.07 inches, but total height, where they include the stem, can range from 1.85 to 4.37 inches. That is a huge difference. Now, I definitely review how to measure your cervical height, and you can always check out all of these amazing resources on my website, laurameihofer.com, and on my Instagram at Laura Meihofer. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of my amazing free content that's coming your way. Next, after thinking about the total height and the general height, you need to think about the diameter of the opening of your cup. Again, there's a range of 1.22 to 2.09 inches. Next, we want to think about cup capacity. This can range between 8 milliliters to 50 milliliters. I like to think about the fact that the cup capacity oftentimes corresponds to how frequently you're going to need the cup or how heavy your flow is. I tend to be a little bit of a heavier flow person, so I need a larger cup capacity. The next consideration is the type of stem. Some of them have little loops or balls, or even just this type of stem. The nice thing is all of the stems you can cut to size to make sure that it best fits your body. But think about what the dexterity of your hands are, because you need to utilize that stem to pull on and break the seal so that you can easily remove the cup. Lastly, firmness is huge. Some of the cups, like this one, are extremely flexible, while others have pretty thick walls and are almost rigid. Again, depending on the sensitivity of your vaginal or genital canal, that can affect if you feel or sense that menstrual cup in there as you're doing different activities. I like to actually have different types of cups that range in firmness level. I find that a more firm cup can actually be helpful when I'm doing less activity, while a less firm cup seems to move with my body and continue to catch what it needs to catch. But everyone's different, so test out what feels good for you. Now that we've covered everything with cups, we're gonna go ahead and switch to discs. As I said earlier, discs have a wide opening, but they're quite shallow. For comparison, here is the opening between a cup and a disc, and then here is that depth that I was speaking to. Now, when we think about discs, there are some different things that we don't get to consider when we think about our menstrual cups. Discs can be reusable, but they can also be one-time use. This particular disc that I'm showing you is something that can be reusable. Because they have one-time use options, the materials that they're made out of can vary. So much like menstrual cups, you can have silicone, rubber, but then also you can have a plastic. Now, I personally find with the plastic ones, you can hear them crinkle, and I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like I could hear it crinkle when I was moving. The next thing you need to consider is the rim. So every disc is going to have a different rim thickness and just a different kind of rim in general. They can range from 0.24 inches all the way up to 0.43 inches. This doesn't seem like a huge difference, but because this is going to sit behind your pubic bone and around your cervix, that can honestly really affect the comfort level of using a disc. Next, we want to think about diameter. This can range from 2.09 to 2.99. The diameter really corresponds to how large of a collection area the disc is going to provide you. Capacity, for me, as I stated earlier, is a huge deciding factor for me. Discs can range in their capacity from 30 milliliters all the way up to 79 milliliters. Finally, we need to consider how can we remove this disc from our body. So like I said with menstrual cups, every disc is different. Some of them have a tab, some of them have a string, some of them you just have to be really good at positioning. Now that you know the difference between a cup and a disc, let's go over some of the benefits. So as I said, these are so much cheaper than pads and tampons. You really only have to buy them once and then you're good to go. Now, when I was first trying to figure out what was the right one for me, I think I bought maybe 3 to 4 different products, but because their price points can range anywhere from say $5 to $15, it's not that big of a deal to try something out a couple of different times. The other huge thing is the environmental benefits. So on average, people throw away 12 billion pads and 7 billion tampons every single year in the United States. That is huge. Can you imagine how many things are thrown away if we were to look at 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And to break down these different materials takes forever. That's honestly the biggest driver for me and why I encourage people to switch over to these products if you can. The third reason why it's extremely good to switch is it is better for your system. Both pads and tampons work to absorb things, whereas a disc and a cup help to collect the tissue and menstrual blood that happened during your period. When we are absorbing this tissue and blood, we're also absorbing the natural lubrication that occurs within the self-cleaning vagina and genital canal. Not only is using a tampon or a pad something that can cause toxic shock syndrome, but it's also something that can completely throw off the pH of that area of our body and lead to different types of infections. Because discs and cups don't allow the fluid to be exposed to air, there's significantly less smell that occurs when you're using these products, which for me as an active person is a huge benefit. Also, you can go between 8 and 12 hours before needing to change or empty your discing cup. Now, I think I tend to be in the 4 to 8 hour range, depending on what I'm doing and also depending on where I'm at in the cycle. As I said earlier, I tend to have a bit of a heavier flow, which is something I've learned to live with since I was like 15 or 16. So I tend to like to change things out more quickly, but that's just me. I've known other people that only need to change these a few times a day. And finally, the coolest thing specifically about these discs is that you can use them with penetrative activity. So whether penetration is occurring with a penis, a dildo, a vibrator, or fingers, you can keep the mess low to none by using a disc during those sexy times. Again, for me, this is an option that I really enjoy, but everyone is different and you really can't feel the product while it's in during these sexy activities, especially when you consider the above things that we discussed when you're finding the right fit for you. As I stated earlier, I have an amazing website, laurameihofer.com. I linked the blog below that talks all things menstrual reusable products, so make sure you check it out. Also, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video, and make sure you hit the notification button because I have more amazing free content that's gonna make your life better. In fact, I linked an amazing video on the screen next to me that I know you will love. So let's head over there now to learn some more about the pelvic floor.